The 21st century, although short-lived, has seen some exceptional footballing sides. And while the game has changed dramatically since the turn of the new millennium, with rule changes, the addition of VAR, the rise and fall of old and new competitions, in the midst of all this change, we have seen some truly brilliant football across the last 2 decades. And by the time the century ends, hopefully this list will look a lot different. Today, however, we look back at the few sides that have stood out as the cream of the crop with their style of play, dominance over a particular period, and overall footballing abilities. Now, for clarification, I will only be talking about club sides, so international teams will not feature. At number 5 is this current Liverpool side. So far, this Liverpool side has made it to 2 Champions League finals and won one of them. They are most likely going to be the runaway winners of this Premier League season, maybe even invincible at this current rate. And while people might say it's a bit premature to consider them one of the best sides of the 21st century, I think their dominance across all competitions, coupled with their intense style of play, the willingness of their players to run behind the ball, and the overall dominance Liverpool has displayed, they take their spot as one of the best sides over the last 2 decades. Now, I understand some people might put Mourinho's Chelsea between 2005 and 7 above them, even the Invincibles maybe, but the reason why this particular team goes above them is their overall European success. And while there is a strong argument that those teams played in a more competitive league, I can only judge a team based on how I've seen them play against the opponents they have faced. And so far, Liverpool have rarely skipped a beat and rarely looked like a team that can be beaten or even dominated. I will, however, say this: if they do not manage another Premier League or even a Champions League, then the spot will definitely have to be revisited. At number 4 is Real Madrid side between 2016 to 2018. Now, some people might argue this team needs to be higher on the list, which I understand. No team in the modern era has managed back-to-back Champions Leagues, let alone 3 in a row. Real Madrid managed to pull it off, and for that alone, that counts as an incredible achievement that has to merit inclusion in this list. However, the only problem I have with this Madrid side is the manner they won the 3 Champions Leagues in. Real Madrid won these Champions Leagues and only managed the La Liga domestically and no Copa del Rey wins. And while the Champions League is the most important club competition in the world, for a team to be considered the best, it has to be dominant in every competition they play in. This is why they're number 4 on the list. Their achievement of 3 Champions Leagues in a row cannot be dismissed by anybody. But the truth is, people quickly forgot about that side because they were not consistent and often played games where, although they won, they were not convincing. In short, they were a team that managed to win ugly, which counts for something, maybe even everything. But when we are comparing winners, style points, dominance in matches, all become factors of judgment. Now, if this Madrid dominated domestically as they did in Europe, they would be number 1 on this list. They resemble the Milan side between 2003 to 2007, which managed 3 Champions League finals, winning 2, but only won 1 Serie A trophy. Both sides are filled with world-class players, but the lack of success domestically has put them lower on the list. Next on this list is Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan. Now, this is a team that makes the list purely because of their defensive capabilities. Mourinho's Inter Milan, which I have talked about in my Guardiola vs Jose Mourinho series, was phenomenal in that it was built to do the impossible, and that is to beat that FC Barcelona side, which we will talk about a little later on in the video. Mourinho's Inter won the treble, the first ever Italian side to do so, with purely defensive counter-attacking football orchestrated by the likes of Wesley Sneijder. This Inter Milan side, although made an impact for 1 season, is still one of the most dominant sides I have ever seen, because they were simply frustrating to play against. Many teams tried and failed against a side that was built not to concede any goals. With veteran presence all over the field, the likes of Maicon, Lucio, Eto'o, Sneijder, players who have played in the biggest stages, this Inter Milan side for me stands out as one of the best over the last 2 decades. Next on the list is the Manchester United side between 2007 and 2009. This side was, to put it simply, exceptional. They played quick, enjoyable football, which absolutely tore aside opponents. This Manchester side was probably, if not the best Premier League side ever, and that might be a monumental statement considering the many great Premier League sides since 1992. But this side had the perfect blend of experience and youth, coupled with the seasoned veteran and arguably the greatest manager of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson. This team was almost perfect. You had the great Dutchman Van der Sar in between the sticks, the powerful combination of Vidic and Rio Ferdinand, the calmness and experience in midfield the likes of Scholes and Giggs provided, with the attacking prowess and devastating pace that a young Wayne Rooney and Ronaldo exhibited. And you have a team that was almost, keyword almost, unstoppable. 3 Premier Leagues in a row and 2 Champions League finals, winning one of them, ranks them as number 2 on the list of the greatest 21st century sides in football. Finally, at number 1, the team that won the World Cup, as some would call it, the FC Barcelona side between 2009 to 2011. This side was truly unique in the style of play, which emphasized technique, movement, and passing as the basis of their game plan. The side that consisted of Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets in midfield, the greatest ever midfield in the eyes of some, consistently outplayed everyone in their path. Remember that perfect Manchester United side that I was talking about earlier, and how they lost one final? Where they lost that final to this FC Barcelona side. And with the exception of maybe the first 9 minutes of the final in Rome, United were given a clinic by Guardiola's men. That is also why Inter Milan, despite only having that one great season, managed to make it on this list, because they managed to subdue Messi home and away and beat this FC Barcelona side. However, the peak for me was the 2010-2011 season, which truly was perfection. If there was doubt over how they reached the final in 2009 because of the controversial decisions against Chelsea, there were no doubts this season whatsoever. Unfortunately, they didn't manage the treble, which a certain Jose Mourinho made sure of, but nonetheless, it was the same season Real Madrid lost 5-0 to them. They were simply exceptional, and when they played United at Wembley, not the strongest United side ever, but still well coached and Premier League winners, FC Barcelona were just simply too good, which was often the case for many times in many matches. I recall watching this side outplay teams from start to finish, and it was not even close. Guardiola's men shook up the football world completely. So there you have it, my list of the top 5 best teams of the 21st century so far. If I missed any, feel free to tell me below. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. Till next time, peace.